been translated in English by Master E.K. himself. That is the book, The Man's Sacrifice. You know, Master has planned to give 7 books about the life of Lord Krishna to give a most comprehensive vision and experience of the life of Krishna. So this Man's Sacrifice is the 7th book of that series. Of course, in English, Master has translated only 2 books of this series, the 6th and the 7th, The Music of the Soul and Man's Sacrifice. So he spoke about the book Man's Sacrifice in Telugu. And this book gives you So this book gives you many new dimensions, and one of these new dimensions is that Master has personified the habit-forming nature, one of the aspects of his creation. So he created a character which is a personification of this quality of nature of the creation. So habit-forming nature. So he is depicted as one of those devas who work for the cause of this creation. And this book gives you the later phase, the end phase of Lord Krishna's life. And in this book there are many things. The grandson of Arjuna, who became the emperor afterwards of the greater India, he got trained by his grandfather, the brother, elder brother of grandfather. Arjuna is the grandfather of this boy, and his elder brother Yudhishthira, he was the guru also for this boy, and he made his disciple, his grandson, to get into the experience of Lord consciousness by surrendering totally to Lord Krishna. And ultimately, this boy, when he became emperor, he realized that when there is some damage to the law by some miscreants to disturb the law, then he went there to re-establish the law, and he found to his surprise that the other persons who wanted to disturb the law found Lord Krishna in himself. That is another wonderful dimension. So this book is it gives so many keys about the life of Krishna and its universal aspect. And when you go through this book, your consciousness will be opened to these laws of this creation and the plan, the divine plan. Now there is another book which is going to be presented by our nephew. He is working as Lieutenant Colonel in Indian Army, but he is very much associated with our work. Also he is my nephew, and he studies the books of Master. Now he is going to present the book Spiritual Psychology of Master. ఇప్పుడు వంశీ మోహన్, ఇతను లెఫ్టినెంట్ కర్నల్ వంశీ మోహన్ ఇతను మాస్టర్ గారు ఇంగ్లీష్లో రాసినటువంటి స్పిరిచువల్ సైకాలజీ అనేటువంటి గ్రంథాన్ని గురించి ప్రసంగిస్తాడు. వంశీమోహన్.
ఓం పూర్ణమదః పూర్ణమిదం పూర్ణాత్ పూర్ణముదచ్యతే పూర్ణస్య పూర్ణమాదాయ పూర్ణమేవావశిష్యతే.
రెండు 2007 సంవత్సరంలో గురు పూజల మొదటి దినం రోజున నేను చేసుకున్న పూర్వకర్మ సుకృతం వల్ల బుజ్జిమావయ్య గారు నాకు స్పిరిచువల్ సైకాలజీ అన్న మాస్టర్ గారు రాసిచ్చిన పుస్తకాన్ని బహుకరించారు. దాని మీద ఆయన తన స్వదస్తురితోటి మే మాస్టర్ గైడ్ యూ అండ్ బ్లెస్ యూ అని రాసిచ్చారు. అప్పటి నుంచి ఈ పుస్తకాన్ని అధ్యయనం చేయడానికి ప్రయత్నం చేస్తూ ఉన్నాను. దీనిలోని ప్రిల్యూడ్గా అనంతకృష్ణ మావయ్య గారు రాసినటువంటి విశేషాలని అప్పటి నుంచి నేను ఈ పుస్తక అధ్యయనంలో స్వతహాగా ఇంజనీర్ అవడం వల్ల ఏ విషయం సరిగ్గా సమంగా త్వరగా బోధపడదు నాకు. అందుకని సరిగ్గా బోధపడటానికి గాను చిన్న చిన్న పాయింట్లుగా ఒక ప్రజెంటేషన్ ఫారంలో, పవర్ పాయింట్ ప్రజెంటేషన్ ఫారంలో తయారు చేసుకుంటూ వచ్చాను అప్పటి నుంచి. Out of divine providence, the book Spiritual Psychology was presented to be by Dr. Anantacharya, Dr. Varahamihiracharya in 2007 on the first day of Guru Puja celebrations, and he has instructed me to make a study of the book, and he blessed me that Master may guide me and bless me in the furtherance of my life. Ever since I started to make a study of the book and to make the understanding easy for myself, I made a PowerPoint presentation in point form. The prelude by Dr. Anantacharya, he says, it is the textbook for 21st century. If you take a look at the book, hardly it is a book of about 150 pages. But the content of the book is so profound that there is no other there is no other path than what is prescribed in the book for anyone who aspires to be climbing up the stairs of the divine wisdom, temple of divine wisdom. This book, after due concerted and blessed study, unlocks the hidden psychological capabilities of the aspirants. The study of the book realizes the aspirant, makes the aspirant realize his capabilities and his duties towards the lower kingdoms and existence in general. Apart from the content per se in the book prescribes practical instructions for every aspirant who is desirous of treading the spiritual path. A very to the point, precise and specific instructions for following in day-to-day life, in every walk of life. And towards the end, as a culmination of the instruction, the book closes with a series of Vedic mantras which are given in English. And these mantras, they are prescribed to be read on a specific day whole through the year. So you get one mantram per day which is prescribed with respect to a specific date of the year for whole of the year. Master E.K. has brought this book into existence again out of a divine calling. He describes this book as being brought forth at the behest of his spiritual associate Sri Albert Shashi. You must have heard Master Ananta Krishna described in the morning discourse about the twofold nature of the mind. The mind has two faces. One is an external face and the other an internal face. Instead of saying this as the faces of the mind, mind is actually sandwiched between the two faces of an existence, of an individual existence. The man has two faces. One face is struck with the externalized aspects, the five senses, the desires, the ambitions, the emotions, all such things which are specifically related to the objective world are what one face of the mind, one face of the man is engaged in. The other face of the man is hidden. It is internal. It relates to the internal man. Mind is a sandwich. It is the marrow, bone marrow, sort of a marrow between the both faces. It forms the via media. It forms the link between both the faces. But unfortunately, man is so engrossed into the externalized face of the mind that however mastery he attains over this external mind, external face, it does not create, it does not bestow upon him even an iota of mastery over the mind. The mastery of the mind is possible only when the mind willfully submits itself to the internal man after duly extricating itself from the objective world, from the objective face of the man. And this procedure, this process of submission of the mind to the internal man is not automatic. It requires a lot of perseverance, it requires a lot of hardships, and above all, it requires a sense of total submission of the human nature to the internal man. This was allegorically described in the Gajendra Moksham, wherein Gajendra, the strong elephant lord, he toils with a crocodile who tries to catch the elephant lord in the waters. The elephant lord tries his might to free himself from the clutches of the crocodile, to no avail. After trying every possible trick and stunt in his quiver, he gives up after realization dawns upon him. He gives up not because of despair, but he gives up after a realization that he can be freed from the clutches of the crocodile only if the divine intervention happens. So then he realizes the God presence, and then he submits himself to the God presence, and automatically the crocodile frees himself from the clutches. But this process of reversal, the reversal of the mind gazing upon the internal man, is prescribed and is attainable after the due practice of the Ashtanga Yoga. So this Ashtanga Yoga can be followed only after the due submission, willful submission of the mind. No one can prescribe Ashtanga Yoga to any person and make him follow the yogic path. It is a realization, it is a need, it is a necessity to be felt by the aspirant by himself. Now if the question is asked as to when will this necessity come, the answer is very simple. The answer is when it comes. Only time, a bud can blossom only when the due time is there, when the due time comes. No one can force open the petals of a bud to make it into a wonderful blossom, beautiful blossom. The only result, if it is tried, is that you end up spoiling the bud and not at all making it into any semblance of a blossom. So the book goes explaining firstly the procedure, the initial steps of the procedure of the practice. The initial steps are first after attaining a realization of what is the makeup of the man. Even if the smallest of the gadgets that are available in the market today, if you try to make a use of a gadget, it comes with a manual. You have to first study the manual to know what are the features of the particular gadget. And after you attain the basic proficiency, you attain a basic proficiency of the features and of the operations of the gadget, that you will be able to start using the gadget. Definitely you will not be able to make full use of the gadget in the first go. Over a period of time, while making frequent references to the manual given, you will be able to attain the mastery depending upon your interest, depending upon your aptitude, and depending upon the amount of time you spend on practicing the manual, practicing the study of the manual, that you achieve the mastery over the usage of the gadget. When we are talking about so much issues involved in mastering the usage of a small gadget which is man-made, what to talk about the amount of perseverance, the amount of involvement that one has to undertake to attain mastery over the instrument called man. To paraphrase Master E.K., this is a very unique instrument. Instead of instrument, he called it as an institution. This man is an institution with the creator of the institution dwelling inside the institution. So that makes the repair, or that makes the study of the institution even more difficult. He says man is made up of a very fine set of forces which are always in a state of equilibrium. And the existence of man itself is due to the fine equilibrium of forces, and any attempt to tamper positively or negatively, any attempt to tamper with the forces sets in course a chain of reactions. The chain of reactions should be first understood, or a possible chain of reactions which are about to ensue are to be understood by the practitioner, the sadhaka. And unless he is aware about the course of events which he is going to set into, he should not tamper with the, or he should not set out to tamper with the forces which are creating the equilibrium, lest he may end up creating a disaster. But when tampered with, tackled with in a right procedure, prescribed procedure, under the able guidance of the Guru, he will definitely be able to bring forth the most wonderful blossom, which will give a beautiful color, beautiful form, and beautiful shape and fragrance to spread in the humanity. So, to make the blossom happen, first of all, one should understand the main manual. The manual itself says the makeup of the human personality, human individuality. The human body, what is tangible, what is apparent, is only 1/7 of the actual existence of man. It is only 1/7, the physical matter. The physical body is sustained and is made to function by the support of other bodies which coexist, concentrically exist, and simultaneously exist with the physical body. These are the most beautiful epithet, I can call it, used by Master E.K., is the human body is not what it is actually. It is what as it appears to you. To draw it very, very simply, a particular person may understand a person as very beautiful, but the same person who is apparently beautiful to one individual may not be as beautiful to another person. In fact, he may be awkward to some other person. That itself shows that points of views are existing with the individuals who is seeing. As it is famously said, beauty lies in the eye of the beholder. But what physical body as it appears is not actually as it is. It is the picture, it is the impression created on the mind of the seer. Air, water, the 5 elements which we call, all these 5 elements, air, water, earth, akasha, and the agni, tejas, all these 5 elements, they sustain the physical body by means of a constant interaction with the higher principles, with the finer principles of the body, which we are going to enlist a little ahead. So this interaction is in a state of equilibrium. When the state of equilibrium of the 5 elements with the physical body is disturbed, that is what we call as death. The pralaya occurs. So long as the equilibrium is undisturbed, it runs the natural course of existence. When the disturbance starts, it enters into a state of disease, and when the disturbance still persists, so much so that the finer bodies start getting disturbed more violently, the culmination would result into death. Unfortunately, we are not fully knowledgeable about the existence or the functionalities of the rest of the 6 bodies, rest of the 6 planes, so called, along with the existence of the final physical body. We are so much engrossed in the existence and functionalities of the physical body that we are oblivious to the other things. So, the other bodies which make up the man are the vital body. This is called as the prana sharira, and the mental body, the physical body, the vital body, the mental body, and then comes the rest of the planes, the buddhic plane, the nirvanic plane, the paranirvanic plane, and the mahaparanirvanic plane, as classified in the Buddhic scriptures and texts. The human being normally is in a state of recurrence, or the state of birth, stuck in the cycles of births and deaths, so long as he dwells in the lower three states. Once he rests into the final, in the fourth state, from then onwards, he is elevated into a state where he attains the Amritatva, the immortality. Immortality does not mean not dying. Immortality means the continuation of the consciousness through births and deaths. The death is realized as just a change of state rather than an end of an existence. The prana sharira permeates through the physical body and it gives the needed electric current to run the physical body. It is analogous to the electricity running through the current cable. The electricity is not visible in the cable, but it is visible as the effect of the bulb which it glows. Similarly, the prana sharira is not visible in the body, but it is visible through the functionalities of the physical body which are manifest in the objective world. So, the knowledge of the finer bodies is must for a practitioner. And the practice of Ashtanga Yoga to attain the final realization, the gist of existence as summarized in the Indian scriptures is that every man is God, is the temple of God. But man is oblivious to the fact that he is the temple of God and he has to drive himself into the realization of Godhood. Knowing that he is God is not just enough. Because knowing things is only till the lower principles. Knowledge is restricted only till the mental body. Whereas experience is something which is prevalent in the Buddhic planes and higher planes. So experience is what is required. So for getting to the experience, he has to practice the yoga. Practicing of yoga is not just, again as discussed in the morning by our beloved master, it is not just practicing of a few postures of yoga asanas, but it is the ashtangas. The most prominent of the ashtanga are the first two, called the yama and the niyama, because these are the most difficult of the ashtangas for a starting practitioner, because they involve a humongous amount of effort on both the physical, mental and psychological planes of the individual. Unless this is practiced, he will not be able to go ahead. So the key, there are 4 keys prescribed by the master. The 4 keys are the keys of the shape, of the color, of the number and of the sound. These 4 keys are amalgamated with a ritual of physical activity, and the amalgamation of the 5 is called a devata, a deity. So, under the able guidance of a guru, one is expected to follow all of the 5 aspects of the yoga sadhana, and then this is the only prescribed way. Anyatha sharanam nasti, nanyah pandha ayanaya vidyate. There is no other way than it is prescribed here to go ahead into the temple of divine wisdom. So one specific practice of the 5 is given at the end of the textbook which is given by the master. It is in the form of the prescribed prayers. I just will end with the most important practical instructions delivered by the master. never criticize